Sure. So I am a consultant, author, speaker, coach, and my primary work is in corporate talent development. So I work with a
Mm-hmm.
lot of companies to help them develop their people and help them do the best work of their lives. I've
Yeah.
been running workshops around the world in areas like leadership development and business strategy, things like that, for many
Mm-hmm.
years. And now I run a membership community and
Mm-hmm.
a conference and an online virtual summit in that talent development space. And finally, what you and I have talked about recently is I've also been working on this book called
Yeah.
Own Your Career, Own Your Life that will be coming out in October. And it's really designed to help
Mm-hmm.
corporate employees, especially younger employees, early career professionals, to stop drifting and take control of their future. And the final thing I'll add
Yeah.
is that I am also a husband and father of two
Yeah.
kids, and I live in Orlando, Florida, USA, in the southeast, where it's nice and hot and humid, just like where you are in Singapore.
All right, right. That's great. That's great. So, yeah, I guess Andy, today we really wanted to focus about millennials. So I understand that you've done some work with them. I mean, what are some common challenges that you see?
Well, I think, especially in the corporate world where I'm
Mm-hmm.
spending more time talking to people, I also work with a lot of entrepreneurs and I'm in that world myself, running my own business.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the big challenges I'm seeing with the millennial audience, especially younger and
Yeah.
going into Gen Z, and I never like to generalize, right? Everybody's
Yeah. Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
But one of the things I'm seeing a lot is that, and hearing a lot from my
Mm-hmm.
clients and people out there in companies, is that people are hungry for purpose and for growth, and they want to know that they are going to be able to go somewhere in their career.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they don't feel like they're getting what they need or what they want from the companies where they work.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of starting to really dig in and get specific on, finding out what they want and having those conversations with their manager or people, they're getting frustrated and they're starting to look for another job because it's never been easier to go find another job, right?
Yeah.
With LinkedIn and online communities and social media, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so we're seeing attrition that is people leaving companies at a higher rate at that kind of 2 to 3 year mark where people are getting a little bit bored and frustrated.
Yeah.
And whereas I think in the past, again, bit of a generalization, but in the past,
Yeah.
for older generations, I'm sort of on the cusp of millennial and X, but
Yeah.
X and baby boomers, people would kind of
Mm-hmm.
stick it out, right? They would be afraid of maybe leaving too early, how it might look on their resume or their CV or what it might, their reputation. I don't think the younger millennials, people are not as worried about that anymore. They're
Mm-hmm.
just more worried about where am I going to go that's going to make me happy, that's going
Yeah.
to give me the learning and growth that I want for my career. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm also seeing the best companies are responding to that and providing those growth opportunities, but not everybody is. And so the big challenge, I think, is for them just being able to figure out what is that purpose, where do I want
Mm-hmm.
to go, and can I find it where I am, or do I need to go somewhere else?
All right. Yeah, that's a great summary of the challenges. So where I want to go, will I be happy? Will I grow? So Andy, actually, what do you think are some of the common mistakes millennials do in this phase of their career?
Well, I think the biggest mistake, and this is true for everybody of
Mm-hmm.
of any age in their career, especially if you're, later 20s, 30s, you've been working for a little while,
Yeah.
is that people they're drifting. They're kind of in reaction mode, waiting for their manager or their mentor or someone to tell them what to do with their career instead of taking control for themselves. And many people end up in careers accidentally because their
Mm-hmm.
parents told them that's what they should
Yeah.
do, right?
Yeah.
Or their siblings or their
Yeah.
friends, or, frankly, like me, they got to university and didn't know what they wanted to do. And someone said, hey, you might want to take
Yeah.
these classes. And then you end up in a job. And that's what happened
Yeah.
to me too. There's nothing wrong with that, right? We have to
Mm-hmm.
figure out a way to get into something. What I want people to do is to kind of wake up and say, okay, is this the thing that I really want to do? If it's not, what is it that makes me happy? What is it that can,
Mm-hmm.
helps me connect to my purpose and my mission, and start to make a plan to get there and just start to be a lot more intentional about what you want. And if you're working in a big company,
Yeah.
there's a good chance that the opportunity is there for you, but no one is going to bring it to you because they can't read your mind. They don't know what you want, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the mistake that I think a lot of people are making is they're waiting for someone to bring them an opportunity
Mm-hmm.
for their dream or to make them happy, when happiness is coming from within, right? The fulfillment is
Yeah.
coming from us deciding where we want to go and then taking action towards that. And so if you have an idea of what you want to do with your career, instead of
Mm-hmm.
waiting for someone, instead of waiting for your manager to give you career advice, being willing to come and go to your manager or to someone else and say, hey, this is what I want to do. Do you have advice for me? Can you help me get there? And that makes it a lot easier for managers as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
I work with a lot of managers too, and they're frustrated as well with younger employees who don't know what they want to do, and
Yeah.
then they don't know how to help them. How can I help you if you don't know where you want to go?
Yeah. Okay. Sure. So the millennials can make a plan if they know what they want to do, but I guess some millennials might not know that. So how can they
Yeah.
help themselves?
Yeah, and it's a great question and a very fair point, right? Like not everybody knows exactly what they want to do, where they want to go, and
Mm-hmm.
if you're younger in your 20s, like this is a great time to experiment and try different things, right? There,
Mm-hmm.
some people feel so much pressure, especially if it comes culturally from your parents or your family,
Yeah.
that you need to pick this profession and stick
Mm-hmm.
with it, just like you need to find a partner and stick with them, right? But
Yeah. Yeah.
when you're younger, there is plenty of time. You have a long career ahead of you. People are
Mm-hmm.
working longer and longer into their 60s and 70s. And so there is time to look around, to try different things. And
Mm-hmm.
a lot of that comes from talking to a lot of different people, talk to your friends and
Yeah.
family about what they're doing, investigate different careers, look around on LinkedIn and other places and see what kind of careers and businesses are out there.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe try some different things on the side. I love the idea of doing informational interviews
Yeah.
where you reach out to someone who's
Mm-hmm.
doing the thing that you think you might want to do. Let's say you want to
Mm.
get into finance, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe you're working in finance, but you want to get into HR. You think, I might like working with people better, or social work, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Reaching out to some people that are doing that job and saying, hey, can we just get a virtual coffee, right? Get on
Mm-hmm.
Zoom like
Yeah.
you and I are right
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
and let me just ask you some questions for 20 minutes. What
Yeah.
is it you like about your career? What do you don't like about your career?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see things going? You can find out a lot from that. And then the other thing that is really important that a lot of people don't take the time to do is spending time on self-reflection.
Mm.
That's, grabbing a journal, sitting down, writing down what are the things that you really enjoy doing? What are the things that you hate doing,
Yeah.
right? What lights you up? What energizes you? What are
Mm-hmm.
your values? And you can search online and find values exercises where you can
Yeah.
think about what are your values. And those values, a lot of times can help you decide, what actions you take. They're kind of like everything is great, but there are a lot of trade-offs in life.
Mm-hmm.
The kind of classic example is you have friends going out for happy hour, right, for drinks,
Yeah.
and you also want to go to the gym and work out. Which do
Yeah.
you choose? That's a
Mm.
lot based on your values. Are you more social? Are you more health conscious?
Yeah.
And there are trade offs like that all the time in life. So, what are your values? And what what could be, when you think about what do you like doing and what energizes you. Also, there's that other intersection of what connects to maybe a purpose for you, or
Mm-hmm.
what's going to pay off more for you, because there maybe things that you like doing, but frankly nobody pays for that, right? There's not
Yeah.
much of a
Yeah.
career for
Yeah.
it. Or maybe there is, maybe there are some great career options for that,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can start trying things. But the danger that a lot of people get in is I think they're often setting goals or going into careers purely based on what other people are doing. And
Yeah.
and it's okay to do that to start. I just want people to take some time to think about who you are,
Mm-hmm.
what makes you happy, what you may want to do, what do you want to try, and then go try that, because you only get one life, or only one chance. And it's okay, especially if you're younger, it is okay to fail, to go try
Yeah.
something for a couple of years and it doesn't work out. You learn
Yeah.
from that and you move on to the next thing, right? People are so afraid of failure,
Mm-hmm.
but what is failure? It's really just learning and growth. There's nothing wrong with trying something and it not working out. I've done a lot of that in my career. There are a ton of things I tried, especially in my 20s,
Mm-hmm.
that didn't work, and
Yeah.
it's fine. It still got me to where I am today.
Yeah, sure. So Andy, that's great advice. I mean, so if you know what to do, then be intentional and make that happen. If you don't know what to do, be intentional and go and think about what you should do. So self-reflect, grab a
Yep.
coffee with someone. So Andy, you were a millennial once. I mean, you were 25 once. So,
Yes.
I mean, what advice would you have given yourself at that time?
Um, if I could go back and talk to myself at 25, and I think back to my years in my 20s, thinking back to 25, I was having a lot of fun. I enjoyed my life,
Yeah.
probably too much fun because I was not very intentional about where I was going to go in my career.
Hmm.
And what I mean is, I would spend all of my free time drinking or watching sports or socializing. I was very social and I was
Yeah.
building a network.
Yeah.
But if I could go back, I would spend a little bit more time intentionally researching different career options, having more conversations with people about those different things, trying some different things, maybe trying, starting a side business or a side
Hmm.
hustle. And I had a couple at that time. But there are a lot of activities that people engage in that are frankly just time wasters that
Yeah.
and it's okay. I don't do judgment for people, but
Yeah.
especially in your 20s, people spend a lot of time watching sports, going out drinking, watching Netflix, TV, whatever
Yeah.
it may be.
Yeah.
And again, nothing wrong with that,
Hmm.
but the more time you can spend in these important conversations, trying different work, some self-reflection. I wish I had just spent more time with a journal, just writing down what are the
Hmm.
things I like doing, what I not like doing, and then and I wish I was more willing to take some chances, to try some different things,
Hmm.
because all of that, everything's part of a journey. I'm grateful for everything that I went through,
Yeah.
and it all got me to where I am today. But I'm writing this book and I'm having this conversation with you because I
Hmm.
want to inspire and motivate people that are behind me on that journey, younger,
Yeah.
to just go be a little bit more intentional, more thoughtful, take ownership of your career, stop waiting for other people because nobody cares more about your career than you do.
Mm. Yeah, that's great advice, Andy. So just now you mentioned in the beginning that a lot of young people, millennials now, want that sense of purpose in their jobs, in their career, but not every job will have that. I mean, what will your advice be?
Yeah, there's always like a lot of advice and people out there talking about connect to your purpose, follow your passion,
Yeah.
and some people have that, right, and
Yeah.
some people are like, what is that? I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Again, I think it goes back to like what are the things that really you enjoy and what fulfills you,
Mm-hmm.
and if you're very fortunate, you find a career or a company where those things align. So the
Mm-hmm.
company is doing something and you feel connected to that purpose. Maybe you work for a healthcare provider and, they're helping people get healthier, especially in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah.
Man, that's an awesome time to connect to a purpose, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
if you are in social work, I know, John, you work with a lot of social workers.
Yeah.
You have an opportunity to make a really big impact, right? In
Mm-hmm.
helping people get better. And I think it's important to think about what is that purpose? What is the thing that energizes you that makes you want to go to work every day and every week? Because chances are, if you're doing something like social work, you're
Yeah.
probably not making a ton of money, right? I know
Mm.
those careers
Yeah.
tend to make less money than a lot of others, right? And it's
Yeah.
probably easy to look around. Maybe you have a friend from university who's a stockbroker and they're
Yeah.
making three or
Yeah.
four times as much money as you.
Yeah.
And that can oftentimes make us feel, we get into comparison and we feel
Mm-hmm.
jealous and think like, oh, I wonder if I
Yeah.
should be doing that.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you really need to connect to that purpose. What is your purpose? What is your mission? Why do you go do the work that you do? And let that fulfill you, because money does not create happiness, right? It can buy
Yeah.
things that can
Yeah.
then make you happy. But I know a lot of people who went into investment banking, at least here
Yeah.
in the United States, who were
Yeah.
miserable because they were working. They made 10 times as much money as me, but they're absolutely miserable. They're never home with their families.
Yeah.
There's trade-offs to all these things.
Mm-hmm.
So your purpose, like I have a purpose right now that I want to inspire thousands or millions of people to go live their life more intentionally, to live a fulfilled life, and that
Mm-hmm.
I am going to fulfill my own true potential so I can inspire others. But that's actually secondary to my most important core purpose, which is to be a great husband and father
Mm-hmm.
and raise my kids to be really great people as well.
Yeah.
And that may be, if you are a family person or you're thinking about having a family, your purpose could be about showing up for your family and making sure that
Yeah.
you're providing for them. And it doesn't have to be like changing the world. It
Mm-hmm.
just has to be something that drives you that you can go back to when things get hard It's that why. If you're familiar with Simon Sinek and his work, his famous TED
Yep.
Talk,
Yep.
and his book, Start With Why. It's the why behind the things that you do. Why do you get up in the morning? Why do you go to work? Why are you? And if you don't have that, then maybe think about it. What is there a why for the thing you're doing, or is there something else you could be doing that you'd be more excited about? And the why, just a final reminder, the why, the purpose is what gets you going when things get tough, because there always will be challenges. No matter what goals you set, there
Yeah.
will be challenges. You can't just say, I'm going to go to the gym and go to the gym. You have and work out more. You have to have a purpose. You have to have a reason behind that, so that when the days when you feel lazy and you don't want to get up and do it, you can connect back to that purpose and be like, oh yeah, I wanted to do X. I wanted to look great for the beach this summer or something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that I can go and work out more. Or I I really am. I know my job can be a little bit draining sometimes. I'm not making very much money, but I am making an absolute impact. Every day I show up, I'm helping someone and changing their life. And that is my purpose and my mission. The more you can
Yeah.
connect to that and remind yourself of that, that can drive your fulfillment, your energy, and drive you to go to work more.
Yeah, that's great, Andy. So knowing and finding your why. So I mean, these are difficult times for millennials, I guess. So I mean, in closing, what would be your word of encouragement to them?
Well, first of all, you've got a long career ahead of you. There's going to be ups and downs. We've seen, John, you and I have been around for a little while. We saw the market crash in 2008 and
Yeah.
the Great Recession that we went through in many parts of the world. And now we're in the middle of a pandemic, and that's really tough on a lot of people. A lot of people need to stay home. A lot of industries and companies are suffering, right? If you're in retail or oil and gas, or a lot of industries that are just on really tough times right now. There are also lots of companies and industries that are absolutely booming, right?
Yeah.
Anything in the online
Yeah.
space,
Yeah.
Zoom that you and I are on right now, that company's doing great.
Yeah.
Amazon.
Yeah.
So first of all, know that you've got a long career. There's going to be ups and downs. There will always be bumps in the road, and everything is part of your journey, right? And another thing is that I love to look at challenges and try to turn them into opportunities. So if you have a challenge, if you've been laid off recently or been furloughed, or maybe you had to take a pay cut, or maybe you're just not enjoying life right now, how
Yeah.
can you turn this into an opportunity? What does this make possible? What does it create for you in your life? And what can you learn from all of this? Take out that journal, start writing, start sharing. How can you use this to connect with others? Because like I said, you've got a long road. We
Yeah.
want to learn from every opportunity. And even if you don't really feel like you have opportunities to grow in your career, you can always continue to grow as a person
Yeah.
by investing in your own learning and development, reading books, listening to podcasts, being in a group like this, watching, sessions like this, taking out a
Yeah.
journal, writing things down, because you can always keep growing as a person, even if you don't feel like you're advancing in a career because things are stagnant at work, or maybe even laid off or whatever. There are always things you can do. And I believe strongly that a lot of fulfillment comes from growth. And so that's why it's important to keep investing in that growth. Learning doesn't end
Yeah.
in high school or college, university, trade school, whatever. You can keep learning. There are plenty of courses, coaching, mastermind, podcasts, books, all kinds of things you can invest in. Keep learning, keep growing, find your own happiness, turn those challenges into opportunities, and remember that true happiness comes from within. So you can be happy in any situation in your life. And the last tip I'll give on that, I'm covering a lot of things. But if you're looking for that happiness, if you're looking for that fulfillment, is don't forget to tap into gratitude for any situation, because gratitude overcomes almost any challenge, and we all have things to be grateful for. And I'll just give you an example. I'm building a business in the online space. I'm planning this online virtual summit, talent development virtual summit, and yesterday I had 4 interviews planned with these expert speakers, executives at big companies, and my internet went down for 5 hours, and I had to cancel all of the interviews. And it's so easy to get just angry in that moment and frustrated. I did that for a few seconds, and then I rescheduled the interviews, and I checked in with gratitude and thought, what a great life I have that my biggest problem is the internet doesn't work for 5 hours,
Mm-hmm.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, I really am lucky. I have so much to be grateful for. I have my family here. We can always reschedule those. It's not a
Mm-hmm.
big deal. So don't let these challenges define you. Check in with gratitude, create your own happiness,
Yeah.
and live your best life. And don't forget that nobody cares more about your career and your life than you do. So you've got to take full ownership for that.
Right. Great. Andy, that's a lot to chew over. I mean, before we end for good, is there anything else you'd like to add that I haven't asked?
No, I think I covered a lot of it there. I will throw in an offer or a free gift because
Yeah.
a lot of people are, they're afraid of making mistakes in their career. And I went out and surveyed my network and asked people about the biggest career mistakes they've made. And I created a short little report that might give people some food for thought of the top 5 career mistakes that people often make. And so you can get that by going to ownyourcareerownyourlife.com/mistakes. So Own Your Career, Own Your Life is the name of the book that I'll be publishing later this year. Ownyourcareerownyourlife.com/mistakes. And if you go download that and sign up for my email list, I'll also give people an opportunity to get an advanced copy of that book before it comes out as well. So I'm excited
Right.
about that.
That's great. Thanks. Thanks so much, Andy.